morning. We are live this morning, aren't we? Up doing our chores and starting our day. For me, it's about 4:30 in the morning. For you, I don't know what time it is for you because I don't know where you're at. So, we're not going to discuss that. Anyway, I'm going to see, waiting for others to come in. Y'all act like it's Sunday morning. And I need to do some editing later too. Right now I'm just really figuring out where I want to start first. I'm in the laundry. Doing the laundry right now. Well, technically the laundry is done. I'm just folding the clothes up and hanging up clothes. Good morning, bushwashers. Yeah. Man, I don't know. I didn't get this all twisted here. Yeah, I did. I guess I have to cut this off too. I hope y'all can hear me. I'm talking kind of low, but I know this phone will pick up. Will pick me up. Oh, man. The sector is kind of, I won't say falling off. I won't say falling off, but it seems like last night was really a slow night on YouTube. Just looking at everybody that was live, and it just seems like it's getting slower and slower. Anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just babbling. I like to babble sometimes. It helps clear my thoughts of non-thoughts that I don't want. I get the non-thoughts out. Once I hear myself say them, I say, oh, well, that wasn't. I think I'll throw that away. Just saying anything till we get started. Till I get in one of my rants. I was scrolling through Vertical and came across a video short saying little Woody's son had passed away. That was not something I wanted to see starting my day. Almost made me want to get back in the bed and go back to sleep and start all over again. That poor baby. I think the baby was maybe, I think she had that baby maybe a month or two ago. I don't think that baby wasn't even 2 or 3 months yet. And I know Woody is heartbroken. Oh my God, that was his first son. And it doesn't really matter that was his first son. It was his child, period. And he had this son in a different space in his life. And, you know, he has turned his life around. And, you know, he's a man of God. And He's doing a lot to help people make better choices in life. He's made wrong choices and he's learned from them. And so many things were going good for him. Even after that accident he had on that dirt, well, not a dirt bike. I don't know what you call them things. That bike he was on, he had that real bad accident. He could have damaged something permanently, but he didn't. Thank God for that. But, yeah, his son, little tiny little baby, has passed away. I don't know what was the reason. I tried to, I treat YouTube sometimes like Facebook, like people are going to just give the explanation in the title and I don't have to go and watch the video because I don't want to watch the video because people tend to give their opinions more than they're giving the actual facts of the story. You know, I want to know what's the story. Hi, Prestis. Yeah. Um, yeah, I wanted to know the story. I didn't want to, um, watch the video to see someone's opinion of everything. And, oh man, I don't want to imagine how he's feeling, how his family is feeling, and, you know, Woody built up such a beautiful fan base after so much. People truly love to watch him, and he brings so much joy to people's lives. And how he's going to respond is going to show what he's really made of. You know, that it brings me back to the story in the Bible about when it said that God told Abraham to sacrifice his first son. And just when Abraham was about to do it, God sent a lamb to be sacrificed instead. And even though that story has a metaphysical meaning behind it, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of ministers that tell that story, that will tell that story to Woody about his son, that God decided to take him home. And people are going to say nasty things. They're going to say that was his karma for the stuff he did, and blase, blase, and, because people still say that he had something to do with that dude being killed. What was his name? Peanut? People say he had something to do with Peanut being killed. God Shepherd Chap on YouTube explains the whole Bible. God bless. Let's turn to God. Uh-huh. So I need to stop reading what y'all say because it quickly distracts me from whatever I was talking about. And so I know a lot of ministers are going to use that story. Oh, and there's going to be haters that say that that's Woody's karma for Peanut dying, or insinuating that, he might have been, or his friends might have been involved with that killing and the shooting up of the barbershop and maybe shooting up of other things. And I don't know if he has been involved with actually killing anyone, or, they did a lot of dumb stuff when they were younger. And, maybe they did wound people, unalive people back in their days when they was just out of control in their animalistic nature and just shooting up places. Because, when I watched that Young Thug trial, I saw so many, they told told so many stories about times that there were shootouts. And there were a lot of people that came up and said, yeah, my house got shot up. Yeah, yeah, yeah. While we talking about this from a million years ago, whatever, whatever. But, people had to change their lives. They made people feel unsafe in their own neighborhoods. And people don't think about those things sometimes when they making the animalistic choices that they're making. Um, that someone has taken the time, save up their money, work very hard, save up their money, get a house. It's not easy unless somebody just gives you the money for it. And even if they give you the money for it, still a lot of stuff you got to go through to get your house. And you build a family, you, and you think you have created a safe place for your family, and then these young children come along and they're having shootouts and they're shooting up the neighborhood, and your house gets shot up. And now you have to make adjustments in your life. Now your home is no longer safe. You no longer feel safe. And now you may have PTSD, and maybe the bullet hit the water heater. Now you got to get a new water heater, and you got to do this and got to do that. And it just sets you back because other people can't control their animalistic natures. And, so I'm not saying that little Woody is dealing with karma for the choices he's made as to why he lost his son. But we do know what haters will say in the upcoming days. And hopefully little Woody won't watch uh, social media over the next couple months or years, because listen, it could take years um, for the grieving process, one, to begin, and then two, to end. Um, when my grandmother died, it took me a while. And when I say a while, let me see, she died when I was like 20 or 21. And it wasn't until I was about 29, 28 that it hit me. It took me all that time to start the grieving. I don't know what I was doing. I was just living life like not, like I was just functioning. I was just going. And one day it just hit me like, wait a minute, she gone. And after that, I grieved for about a good 5 years, every morning, you know. Um, and it wasn't until I was doing some sort of, um, I was in a covenant at that time, so I won't say a ritual, but meditation, I'll say, or whatever. And I was like, Grandma, if you with me, give me a sign. And at that time, I had this bay window in my front living room. And the bay window, when I opened the blinds, this spider big spider had made this web directly center of this bay window. And it took that spider some time to do this. Like, how many days? I open this window every day. This spider had done this overnight. And so I went and Googled that specific spider. And it was called a grandmom spider or something like that. And I said, oh, you know, once again, the universe shows me how it works when you talk to it. It really does answer. So that's when my grieving had actually stopped. Hey, Sandra Davis. That's when my grieving had actually stopped from my grandmother. I could let her go and be at peace. Now, when my mother died, I went into shock mode. Like, I don't even know if it was shock. It was shock. But let me see. It was more, not a shock like, uh, it was a shock that I just stood there. That's how I felt. Like, even though I was moving, living life, in my mind is still sitting at the table, at her dining room table, just sitting there looking. Years later, I still felt like I was just sitting at her table, just looking. And what I was looking at the time, but when I was actually sitting at the table, I was watching my siblings divide her stuff up. And my sister, she was putting on my mother's fur coats, trying it on, seeing if they fit, if she was going to take it home with her and stuff like that. And I'm just watching them, their behavior, how people respond to death. And I didn't want anything. They were like, you want? No, I don't want anything. I'm just looking at how people respond to death and how my mother had accumulated all of these things. Yet, here she is in the hospice, not even dead yet, even though the doctor said, hey, she got about 1 day to live. She lived 20. And my siblings are there, and they're just dividing her stuff. You know, I know they were grieving, but how they dealt with it, or just how people were it was just a moment that I just stopped and slowed down and just looked at life. And I thought about the stuff I had at home, and when I die, will it matter to other people? Like, as I went through birthday cards she had, pictures of co-workers and friends and people I didn't know, and what it meant to her. And all I'm going to do is just throw it away because it means nothing to me. And I thought about all the things I had at home that meant so much, that I carried from year after year after year in my life. Teddy bears from 16 years old, and I was 36. Like, you held on to that teddy bear for 20 years. Why? When you die, nobody is going to want that teddy bear. They're just going to throw it away. So, for years, I was still sitting at that table, living my life as if when you die, nobody's going to care about these things. So I spent less money. And I didn't buy things that were worthless. I didn't care so much to keep pictures or cards. But then I got to pulling out those cards. And I got to pulling out those pictures as I'm deciding whether to throw them away, keep them. And I'm looking at old birthday cards and I'm reading old letters and I'm getting emotional, and it's such a wonderful feeling. You know, we got to get back to getting birthday cards and cards for people. You know, we've gotten away from that because now we're sending emails, text messages, and there's nothing like opening up that box of cards. Nothing like opening up that box of pictures, touching those pictures, touching those cards, leaving your fingerprints on it. The smells, the colognes, the perfumes, and all of them activating your senses, activating everything that will jog your memory, take you back to those wonderful, beautiful moments. Even if when you die, people just throw it away and it means nothing to them, it still is a good thing for us. It's about those days you're feeling bad and you just go back over those letters and those pictures. And that's what it was for my mom and for all of us. We got to get back into, not just sending out a happy birthday text or happy New Year's text. We got to get back into writing those letters and sending them out. Spraying them with your perfume. That's what we sisters used to do when we was younger. Before you gave that man a letter, you sprayed your perfume, or you put your perfume or your oil on your spot, your specific hot spots on your body, like on your wrist or something. It's where like you can rub your oils on your wrist, and it helps the scent go out or whatever. Anyway, so when you before you sent that birthday card to him, you made sure you rubbed it on your wrist so that the card, when he got the card, that he could smell you on the card. Those kind of things that you just don't get in an email or a text. you know. But anyway, back to little Woody and his son. Like I said, sometimes it takes a while before grief actually um, sets in. And I hope for little Woody that his grief comes and goes fast. That he gets it over with quickly and in his own time. Because like I said, uh, I didn't begin the grieving process for my grandmother. It took almost, well, it was over 10. So I would say it happened when I was 20 and 20 or 21 when she passed. So the grieving didn't start for a good, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years later. And then it took about 5 years before the grieving was completely over. Now, my grieving for my grandmother was totally different from my mother's. Because with my mother's, I was angry. You couldn't even get on the phone with me and just have a regular conversation without me yelling. I had to listen to myself. I said, "Why are you yelling? Why are you yelling at everybody?" I was yelling at everybody. It didn't matter. Stranger called me. I'm yelling. What are you yelling for? Why are you yelling? You're angry. And I was like, I'm angry. Yeah. I'm angry that she's passed away. I'm angry with how the family dealt with it. I'm angry with how I dealt with it. Because the kind of anger that I had, excuse me, y'all, I had to blow my nose there. The kind of anger that I had and was displaying was the kind that if I went into battle as a warrior with a knife with 600 enemies against me, I would have decapitated all of them in 5 minutes. That was the kind of anger that I was holding in. And so I had to contain myself and stay away from people, because if you came around me, you were going to be decapitated. Yeah, yeah. That's how I ended up going into bankruptcy, because I had to get away from people. I couldn't go to work or do nothing. And so when I got to spending the last dime and people wanted to sue me and take my house, I said, "Oh, girl, you got listen, you might have to decapitate a few people, but you got to go back to work. You got to go get you some money. You got to wake up. I know you angry. I know you're grieving, but you still got to keep going." See, ooh, man, I'm telling you, I'm glad that I wasn't a bomb, because if I was, I'd have took out the whole planet. Probably took out the solar system with the anger that I felt. Thank God for the healing and allowing myself to grieve in that time, being able to allow myself to grieve and to be recovered, from that. But that took years. So little Woody losing that baby. Mm, mm, mm. Like I said, I hope that his grief is swift, that he gets in it and gets out of it as quickly as possible. Yeah, grieving is no joke. Good morning, pretty brown eyes. Yeah, grieving is no joke. I'm just talking about little Woody. They said they posted, I saw this morning that his son had passed yesterday, or I'm not sure whether it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, but I'm seeing it today that the posts were done yesterday. And, I tried to just, even with Candy Burris and her husband, Todd Tucker, um, hearing that they're getting a divorce, I wanted to look at the positive side of it, and look at it and say, well, when I saw them together, I'm going to be honest, what did I feel? What did I see? Yes, I wanted the best for them. Sure, I wanted them to last until the day they took their last breath. But the reality is, what did I see when I saw them? I saw two people that were only going to be there for a season. And I could be wrong, but I'm going to say what I saw. I didn't see a man that was deeply, madly in love. I saw a man who had made the decision, a logical decision, like this is a person that will give me what I want. It's like, I'll use this example. Many men make jokes about men dating a not so attractive woman, and they'll say, get you one of them, because see, she ain't gonna cheat on you. Get you one of them, because she gonna cook for you. She ain't gonna give you no trouble, because she's an ugly woman. That's terrible. But people say it. Men say it. So one time I heard Todd give an interview saying that when he first met Candy, he knew that she would be fun. Now I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what he said, that she would be fun. Not that he would marry her or date her, but that she would be fun. So I think he made the logical decision after so many years of his life, after realizing that maybe it's time for him to settle down, to, and he saw an opportunity for retirement. Okay. Um, and he made that decision with Candy. Candy, on the other hand, I look at her and I say, this, I can't say young lady because she's older than I am. This sister um, is doing, she is trying to go through every step. Like, for instance, the way society is set up, you're supposed to be born, go to school, get a good education, go to college. Well, you make sure you're supposed to go to your prom, your graduation, go to the homecomings. You're supposed to do all of these things, and then go to college, get out of college, marry your high school sweetheart, have two kids, a boy and a girl, and then have a dog, a white picket fence, a house, save for your children's retirement. I mean, save for your retirement, save for your children to go to college, and you pay for your children to go to college. You go into retirement, you travel the world with your husband, and then you die. That's the system, that's the setup of the world. Like, that's it. Your life is really saving up for your retirement, and you die. And with Candy, I'm looking at her like she's trying to follow the steps. I got to get married because all my girlfriends got married. I got to get married because I got to prove to myself that I can get married. And to me, her realization that she had completed the task and could move on is when she got that wife award from the Real Housewives of Atlanta. A Lifetime Award. Yeah, not life with an L, but a Lifetime Award they gave her. And so she had reached the, uh, what is it, the pinnacle, the top. She had reached the top of the mountain of the wifehood. Okay, I'm done. I did it. I got married. I tried it. I had a beautiful wedding. I had the dream wedding, the dream marriage. I had the boy, the girl. She might even got a white picket fence now. She had the house. She had the car. She got all of these things. She achieved it. And what does she want to do after she achieved that goal? She wanted to go on tour and get on stage and dress nasty or freaky and make men hard. Make people feel good on stage. Now she wants to focus on her career after she's made the choice to focus on marriage. She took her eyes off her career to focus on marriage, to focus on having children, to do a whole reverse and start focusing on her career again. Getting back on stage, putting on those freaky costumes, feeling sexy, feeling good, back on stage. Candy, Candy. You wanted the marriage. You wanted the children. Your focus was supposed to be on the family only. Now, you walked away from the career because you thought you had to have the marriage, thought you had to have more children, thought you had to have the husband, thought you had to have the house, but you on tour. You're not at the house. Where the kids at? With the husband, back at home. But where you at? On tour. Wearing freaky costumes. Making men horny all around the world. You didn't need the money. You didn't need the influence. Why are you on tour, Candy? Why are you avoiding that husband, Candy? Why are you avoiding those children, Candy? Because Candy was trying to prove something to herself and to others. That she can do the average life or do anything, but it was something that she needed to achieve. Like if someone went to school, high school for 4 years, but don't go to their prom and don't go to their graduation, like that's a part of the prize. That's a part of the reward. That's a part of the culture of high school, that you've got to go to your prom. You got to go to the graduation. You got to go to homecoming. You got to go to the football games, the basketball games, because that is a part of the whole high school, you know, it's a part of that life. It's like going to a bar without drinking. Why are you at the bar and you don't order the alcohol? That's what you're there for. You know, you go to high school so you can go to the prom. Did you think you went to high school to get an education? No, you went to high school so you can go to the prom. And so that's how I see Candy. Candy is trying to just do all of those things in this life. And that's why she made the decision to get married, have more children, and then kind of abandon it. And she said, they decided to split. And she just wants peace. And she's going to focus on her career, herself, and her family. Well, Candy, if you focusing on your family, why that don't include your husband? Have you finally awakened to the fact or the idea that your husband didn't choose you because he was madly in love with you, but he chose you because you were the logical choice? Did that reality actually set in, sister? Did you have an awakening on the road, smelling them men that's coming to your concerts looking good, smelling good, making you feel good? Did you have an awakening on that tour? Did the feelings for Todd change? Did the emotions for Todd change? Did the dream for Todd change? The dream of this perfect wedding, perfect family, perfect husband. Did the feelings fade away? Did you find out that he's a bit of a drill sergeant, a little bit of a control freak? Well, he was that when you married him, baby. So you talking about you looking for your peace Yeah, you looking for your peace, all right. I believe that you was out there on them tours and you saw what you was missing. You missed going from randoms. Yes, honey, you missed the randoms. You missed the candy coated nights. Cause see, you couldn't be candy coated nights with them new kids. See, with Riley, she could be candy coated nights because Riley was a little older and her mama, was the one doing a lot of the raising of Riley, you know. But the new kids, you couldn't be candy coated freaky nights with the new kids. You know what I mean? She had to she had to tone that down. And Todd, listen here. He didn't mind her being candy coated nice when it wasn't his kids. Okay? Riley ain't his daughter for real, for real. Come on now. He didn't mind her being Miss Let's go get some toys and do all of this freaky stuff when there was no kids in the house. When Todd, because see, Todd, his oldest daughter didn't come around until, she was darn near grown. He didn't know that he had a daughter. So he didn't go through the whole raising her and watching her grow. And I can imagine now that he's getting up with these new kids in the morning, getting them ready for school and making them his life. Because now I believe Todd loved them kids. Now I believe Todd is in those kids' life wholeheartedly. Candy? Now I ain't talk about this Candy because I ain't think about it yesterday, but I'm thinking about it today. Candy. That little baby girl of Candy that she uh got a surrogate mother to carry. Listen here. Candy said, I don't want to. It isn't like she got pregnant because she's making love to her husband and they said, forget the condom. Let's go ahead and nut in me, baby. We just going to look, we have a baby. No. He or she wanted the perfect family. I told you, the perfect family is you have the boy, you have the girl. So she had to act like she didn't have this Riley, not treating Riley bad at all or anything like that, but she had to pretend, she had to put on the white dress like she a virgin. She had to buy the house with the white picket fence. She had to go get the so-called perfect husband, the one that looks good standing beside her. And she had to go get the family that looks good on camera. You know what I'm saying? So she carried the boy. But the little girl, she said, we got to get somebody else to carry. So you pre-planned this child. Yeah. You pre-planned to make this the perfect looking family. The boy, the girl, the husband. She first bought the house. Then she bought the husband. And she literally bought the kid. Surrogate mother. Candy said, I'm not carrying another one. So she had to live the movie star life. You carry the baby. And then after she never really, to me, bonded with this little girl. She always, maybe that's Candy. Candy do have a way of looking at people and you're like, does she like that person? Does she not? People, she's always had that face that made people question whether Candy was sincere. Then after she started crying, people are like, oh, she is sincere. So maybe that's just her face. But I don't think that she really formed that kind of bond with the little girl as she did with Riley. I don't see her looking at Riley, her oldest daughter, the same way she looks at the youngest daughter, or because she didn't carry her. Why did you have her? Y'all already had daughters. Y'all already had a son. You didn't accidentally get pregnant on the night making love to your husband. You paid for your last child. Why? Then you abandoned that child by going on tour to get on stage and dress like a whore. And when I say a whore, I don't mean she's a whore, but that's what whores wear when they going out to do they do on the streets. You're a wife now. You're a mother again. You paid for this child. Why in the world are you on stage dressed like a whore to sing some old music if you're happy at home? You don't need the money. You don't need the money, Candy. Why? I don't know why. I mean, I could know why, but I'm not going to speak for her. I'm just guesstimating what I think is going on and what happened and why they're getting a divorce. Now, more details may come out later, but between that divorce, I can't say I'm sad about it. I'm sad about the little Woody situation, him losing his son. But the Candy situation, I can't say I'm sad about it. She outlasted the naysayers. And she completed the task. So good for Candy. Good for Candy. Hey, the lessons we must learn. So y'all hit that like button. Grand Rising Jeff R. How you doing, sweetie? Y'all hit that like button for me. Y'all got me a little distracted talking about this candy. Talking about this candy situation. Y'all got me a little distracted. Supposed to be folding clothes and, well, I was hanging them. I wasn't doing too much folding. But, let me grab me a banana this morning. And some cereal. Y'all still put bananas in y'all cereal? Nothing like a good banana. Alrighty. Stop dragging your feet. What? Jeff R., they didn't tell you I was in a wheelchair. That's what my haters said. Said I was in a wheelchair and that I was living in a facility. Apartment that's for disabled people that are in wheelchairs. I said, oh, okay. I didn't know I couldn't walk. And now here you go talking about quit dragging your feet. I ain't even got no feet. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have any feet. Jafar. These are pretend people. They do make up anything. That's a hater's job. They're supposed to say things that will upset you, distract you, but the haters kept my numbers up. Help channels get the watch hours that they need, kept the viewership up, and I shut my haters down, and now they don't watch me no more. See, when I had my haters and they were on their job, I could have 100 people in chat with no problem. Some days it was 200 people. But after I kept shutting my haters down, they gave up and they said, forget it. Let's go find somebody else to hate on. So now I'm in the chat with 5 people. Even if it is 5 o'clock in the morning. Just waking up in the morning, gotta thank God. I don't know, but today seems kind of odd. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. I would have picked the loudest thing to eat while talking to y'all. Honey Nut Cheerios. And they are super crunchy right now. So, I'm talking to y'all with my crunchy cereal. Did y'all watch the live last night? At first, I started it off trying to be a reasonable relationship therapist, doctor, translator. But then my chat was hyping me up to go in on Candy and Todd and say what I was really, really feeling. I try to be positive about the situation and say, oh, this is a good change for them and their time had come and it was a spiritual thing, which I still believe totally. But at the same time, that daggone Sheriff Clara was calling my name and she wanted to get out and she wanted to be like, girl, I've been new. I've been new that Todd and Candy situation was a whole mess waiting to happen. From the moment that prenup situation happened on the show where they weren't going to get married because they couldn't agree on the prenup, I was like, ooh. But they got married. But I believe they got married only because Candy had spent all that money. All her friends, all her family had seen what was going on and they didn't want to get embarrassed. She didn't want to get embarrassed mainly. He didn't really care. Who saw? He didn't care. What's up, Mr. Oates? But I think she went ahead with the marriage and the whole for image. Because the prenup was the red flag of this ain't real. This ain't real. And Most people that get into issues with the prenup don't get married. They got married because they was on TV. I bet if she wasn't on TV and she wasn't no star and she wasn't worried about what other people was thinking, I believe that they wouldn't have got married. They wouldn't have got married. But she had these children, and she had to go. She had to live out the whole image. She had to have the boy, the girl, and the reason I knew she had to have the girl, because like I said, a surrogate. People do that kind of stuff when they can't have kids. You know, when they're unable to have children. She was fully capable of having children. So obviously, when she had that little girl with that woman, it was about looks and image. And she never really formed a bond with that baby girl. Not like what she had with Riley and Ace. Hell, she had a better, just like with Beyonce. I still question whether Beyonce actually had a surrogate have the baby or not. I don't know. But in Beyonce's case, if she did have a surrogate, I don't believe that it was because, she wanted to have a baby for image. I think she really wanted a child and she couldn't carry, because they said she had lost a baby right before then. So I think it was more medical issues for Beyonce, because you see when she had the twins that something ain't right with, that little girl and that little boy. And so yeah, definitely for Beyonce, I believe there was medical issues. But with Candy, I think that she was just trying to create this image of a perfect family of I have a son, I have a daughter, by this perfect husband. And she acted as if Todd was the perfect husband. He was the perfect man for her, the perfect man that every woman wants. And no, he wasn't. No, he was not the perfect man that every woman wants. And I think she was delusional about that completely. So, yeah. Now that I sat down to eat my breakfast, I am now on the internet, and well, I'm on the internet talking to y'all, but now I'm on my laptop. And I'm looking at who's live and who I want to watch. And I need to check stuff. I want to say check emails. I'm not checking emails. T.I. and Tiny backstage after the Escape concert. See, at least T.I., he was showing up at the concerts. Every time you turned around, T.I. was at a concert with Tiny. But Todd, nah. Plus Todd is 52 now. And you know, Candy is a freak, super freak. Todd ain't in all of that freaky stuff that he used to be. And now he's playing, you know, daddy. Like I said, with the first daughter, he couldn't play daddy because she came into his life later. He didn't know about her. But now he's been playing daddy, taking these kids to school, going to PTA meetings. He don't want to be candy-coated Knight's toy boy no more. He don't want to get into all the freaky escapades anymore. She has tampered him down. And I think, like I said, she's doing these concerts, and she's in these hotels and smelling these fine looking brothers coming in there, and you know, she missed that feeling, that a lot of stars, celebrities that are, it's hard enough to keep the men from cheating when they're out on the road. She's out on the road. He can't just leave the kids and pop up where she is and come, give her the dinger. He has to, take care of the kids. So, yeah, she didn't think that through at all. Well, let me get off of here. I've been talking to y'all for about an hour, and I want to eat my breakfast, and I don't want to chew in y'all ear. So I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all have a good day.